Hi, writers. We've been doing such a great job writing fiction stories that leave our readers on the edge of our seats, wondering what's going to happen next. Today, we're going to talk about just how to do that. We're going to talk about how to write in a way that really does leave our readers on the edge of our seats, wondering what's going to happen next. It leaves them worried. It leaves them wanting to turn the page and keep reading our story because they must find out what's going to happen next. That's called adding tension to your story. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. Let's get started. All right, friends. So last week, we focused on adding a problem and stretching out the solution in our stories, right? We told about what was going wrong for our characters, and then we also told about all the different things or steps that our characters tried to solve their problem. That's how we stretched out the solution. They didn't just try one thing and then it worked right away. They tried one thing and it didn't work. They tried another thing and it didn't work. And finally, the third thing they tried worked. That's the first step to creating tension in your story. It's stretching out the solution with steps. So today we'll continue to stretch out solutions by adding tension. So like I said, we'll still have 3 steps in our solution, but we're going to add more sentences to each step and more details to each step so that it creates tension and it leaves our readers wondering what's going to happen next, on the edge of their seats. So what is tension? Tension is a rising problem in a story that makes the reader sit on the edge of their seat and wonder what could happen next. Many of you have probably remember this scene from Toy Story where all the toys are trapped in an incinerator and they're slowly moving closer and closer to the incinerator. The first time you watched this movie, you were probably on the edge of your seat, feeling like, oh my God, it's Woody and Buzz. Are they all gonna die in the fire? What's gonna happen? Is someone gonna save them? What is going to happen? That's tension. When you get that feeling of, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And you get worried for the characters, that's tension. So this usually happens right after the problem in a story. And a lot of times we know that there's tension because the characters will feel a lot of different emotions. Like in this part of Toy Story, all the characters were feeling worried and scared and sad, and they thought they were gonna die, right? They were feeling hopeless, and they had just given up because they thought they were gonna get taken in the fire. So if we break down this Toy Story movie, this part, into this problem, tension, and solution, we know that the problem was that everyone was stuck in the incinerator. And they built tension, the author built tension in this part by showing that they couldn't stop it, right? They couldn't stop the incinerator. It kept moving down, getting closer and closer to the fire. And as it was moving closer and closer to the fire, the author showed you what each character's face looked like and what each character did, right? To show you that they felt scared and helpless and worried about dying in a fire. And if you'd seen the movie, you'll know that they did get saved. There was a solution. The alien toys found some kind of claw machine, and the claw came down and rescued all of them right up out of the incinerator. But for a second there, we all thought that they were all going to get burnt to bits in the fire. That's tension. That's what you have to create in your story. You have to make the reader feel like, oh my God, the problem's never going to get solved. It's hopeless. And the character feels sad and angry and frustrated or just gives up. And then all of a sudden, something exciting happens that solves the problem. So, I hope you guys remember my story about Ray and Chiku. And the problem in the story was that Ray couldn't find Chiku, her cat. So let's read the beginning of my story and see how I really described the characters and told you a little bit about them, and also described the setting and told you what was going on in Ray's house that morning when this story took place. Ray was a big cat lover. She loved cats so much. She was so caring that she rescued every cat she ever met. That is, until she met Chiku. Chiku was the cutest, fluffiest, craziest cat in the world. He was so energetic. Chiku had long white, black, and dark brown fur. He even had a small freckle on his cheek, just like Ray. They were meant to be together. He was Ray's bestest friend. Everywhere Ray went, Chiku was sure to follow. They were inseparable. It was a warm summer morning. Bright sunshine came through the windows and seemed to kiss Ray's forehead. Her fluffy white blanket was like a soft cloud. "I don't want to get up," said Ray. She was snug as a bug in her bed. She took a big stretch and waited for Chiku to greet her. Every morning, Chiku was so hyper that he jumped up onto Ray's bed, curled up on her long black hair, and purred as loud as he could to wake Ray up. But this morning, she woke up to the sun in her eyes, and Chiku was nowhere to be found. Where could he be? Ray thought. So far in the beginning of my story, all I did was describe who Ray was and who Chiku was, and I told a little bit about the setting and where the story was happening. I even gave a little bit of background about Ray and Chiku and how Ray always woke up to Chiku jumping on the bed. But then I introduced the problem right at the end here. The problem is Chiku didn't come that day, and Ray's wondering, where could Chiku be? So let's see how I stretched out my solution. But as I read, I want you to notice if I added any tension to my solution, or if you think I could add a little bit more details to create more tension, to make you feel worried that maybe Chiku's never going to be found, that maybe Ray's never going to solve her problem and find Chiku. Let's see what I did. "Chiku!" she shouted. She waited a moment, but still no Chiku. Now she was feeling worried. She threw off the covers and jumped out of bed. She looked in the closet. "Chiku?" she said. He wasn't there. She looked in the bathtub. Still no Chiku. "Chiku, where are you, Chiku?" Ray cried. Then she ran to the kitchen to get Chiku's treats. Shake, shake, shake. The noise of the shaking treats brought Chiku running to the kitchen. Meow, meow, meow. Chiku screamed as he ran towards Ray. "Where were you?" Ray said as she picked him up and squeezed him in her arms. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Ray attacked him with kisses. Purr. Ray smiled and thought, the treats always do the trick. So what do you think? Do you feel like that story, that ending, that solution made you feel like, oh my gosh, she's never going to find Chiku. Where could he be? Did he run away? No, it didn't make me feel anything. It didn't really make me feel edge on the seat at all. It made me kind of feel like, okay, what is she going to do next? And she's going to find him. It didn't really excite me as a reader. I need to add some tension. Let's see what I did to add some tension. So now I'm going to read this part that I added some sentences to. You can see that I added a few sentences in red to create tension in my story. Notice how I added tension to help my readers be on the edge of their seats, wondering what will happen next. Here I go. "Chiku," she shouted. She waited a moment, but still no Chiku. She started to really worry. She threw off the covers and jumped out of bed. She opened the closet door. "Chiku?" she said. He wasn't in the closet. She looked in the bathtub. Still no Chiku. "Where are you, Chiku?" Ray cried. Now she thought he might have gotten out and ran away. She began to cry. So right there, I added tension. Right there, with just those two sentences, you think for a moment, oh my God, did Chiku run away? Is she ever going to find Chiku again? It makes you wonder and question what's going to happen in the story, and it makes you want to read the rest of the story to find out if she finds Chiku, to find out what happens. Let's keep reading. But then she remembered something. She got Chiku's treats and shook the bag. She heard something move. Could it be Chiku? Meow, meow, meow. Chiku screamed as he ran towards Ray. "Where were you?" Ray said as she picked him up and squeezed him in her arms. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Ray attacked him with kisses. Purr. Ray smiled and thought, the treats always do the trick. So see, just by adding a few sentences about how Ray was feeling, she was feeling worried. She began to cry because she thought he ran away, right? That adds tension. Then even when she finally hears a noise, I don't tell you that it's Chiku right away. I say she heard something move. Could it be Chiku? I show you that she's wondering and she's still not sure if she's going to find Chiku. So she asks, could it be Chiku? And then Chiku comes out. So I slowly build it up to the solution. I slowly build up to how the problem gets solved. I don't just say it right away. I keep you on the edge of your seat. I create tension with words and details so that you wonder what's going to happen every step of the way. So today, boys and girls, you are going to reread your stories. You should have about 6 or 7 stories that you've started in Dojo. So you're going to reread some of those stories. Maybe you'll read 1 or 2 of them. Maybe you'll reread all of them. Up to you. But whatever you do, you're going to be revising and adding tension to your stories. Read the part where you introduce the problem. Is the problem going to make your character feel a certain way? Did you include sentences that tell us how your character is feeling? Sad or scared or worried? Then, is the reader going to feel connected to your story and want to know what happens next when you start telling the steps that your character took to solve the problem? Am I going to really be on the edge of my seat and wonder if the problem ever gets solved? Or is the problem just easily going to be solved and it's going to kind of be an okay story? So think about how you can add sentences to create tension in your story. Also remember, if you finish a story, make sure to go back and edit it for COPS, capitals, organization, punctuation, and spelling. But today's main focus is to revise the story by adding details, words, and sentences to create tension and exciting parts in your story. I also just want to remind you, we've been reading The Wild Robot, and the author, Peter Brown, has done a really good job of creating tension in this story too. We just read the part about where the wild robot gets stuck in a really bad rainstorm and gets stuck going down a mudslide. And the author really tells that part bit by bit, telling you exactly what happens as Roz is rolling down the mudslide. And you think that Roz is eventually going to fly off the cliff of a mountain, right? Because she's just being taken by this mudslide. But all of a sudden, a tree stops her from sliding down the mudslide and she gets saved. But for a while there, we think she's going to fly off the cliff. That's tension. All right? So you have lots of examples of tension that you've seen in my story and in The Wild Robot. So get to writing. I can't wait to see how exciting you make your stories. I can't wait to be on the edge of my seats as I read them. Good luck, writers. Talk to you soon.